We thought we were just renovating a wall until we found her. A broken porcelain doll, hidden deep inside the plaster, eyes wide open, staring like she had been waiting. That's when everything started to go wrong. And what she did next still keeps me up at night. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where today we're going to tell you about the scariest thing that has ever happened to one of our subscribers while house hunting. And it's not what you think. Let me give you some backstory first. When we found out that we were expecting our first child, we decided to look for a new home. We needed something bigger for the baby and all of our stuff. So we started searching online. We looked at houses together, driving around the area, taking notes and pictures. Finally, we found the perfect one for us. It was just right down the road from our favorite coffee shop and near our friends and family. Plus, it had a big backyard for the kids to play in. It was love at first sight. The inside was even better than the outside. We walked in, and there was a large living room with high ceilings and a fireplace. The kitchen was massive with an island in the middle and granite countertops. The bedrooms were huge, and the master bathroom was big enough for two people to get ready at the same time. It was exactly what we had been looking for. While we were taking a closer look around, we noticed a weird detail. All of the curtains in the house were closed, even though it was the middle of the afternoon. We thought it was odd, but we couldn't figure out why the curtains would be closed during the day. But we figured we could always change the curtains later on, so we didn't think much of it. We filled out the paperwork and waited for the day that we could finally move in. It took a few weeks for everything to be finalized, but it was so worth it when we got the keys to our new house. We spent a few days organizing and decorating before our friends and family came over to see it for the first time. We were so excited to show them around. But then, one of our friends pointed out something strange. She said she felt like something was watching her the whole time and she couldn't shake the feeling. She tried to ignore it, but it was getting worse. So she finally decided to say something. She told us she had seen a doll in one of the rooms, but when she went to check on it, it wasn't there. She thought it was weird, but we all just laughed it off and told her that she was probably just tired. But then it happened again. This time, I saw it too. We were walking through the house and I saw a doll sitting in a rocking chair in the corner of my eye. I turned around, but when I looked back, it was gone. I told my husband what I had seen, but he didn't believe me. He said that there was no way a doll could have moved on its own. But I knew what I had seen. That's when we decided to go back and check the room where the doll had been sitting. We looked everywhere, but we couldn't find anything. We even checked under the bed and in the closet, but there was nothing there. We were about to give up when I noticed something strange. I saw a small hole in the wall behind the curtains. It was big enough for a person to fit in, but not big enough for us to see through. I pulled on the curtain to try to get a better look, but it wouldn't budge. Then I pushed harder and the curtain ripped open, revealing a dark, narrow space behind it. We were both scared to go any further, but we wanted to find out what was in the hole. So we grabbed a flashlight and a camera and went in. The tunnel was dark and dusty, and the air was musty and stale. We couldn't see anything in front of us, but we could hear each other's breathing and our own hearts beating loudly in our ears. Suddenly, my husband screamed and dropped his flashlight. I shone my light on him and asked what was wrong. He pointed to the ground where a doll lay face down. I carefully approached it and turned it over with my flashlight. Its face was white and staring straight up at me with wide eyes. I was so scared that I dropped my flashlight and ran out of the tunnel, tripping over rocks and branches as I went. I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of our bedroom. I locked the door and leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. Then I heard a knock at the door. I jumped and turned around, my heart pounding in my chest. It was my husband. He was covered in dirt and his hair was disheveled. He looked at me and said, "You have to see this." He had found something else in the tunnel, something that made him come running to me as fast as he could. He showed me the object he had found. It was a diary. The cover was made out of leather and was decorated with silver chains and pentagrams. On the first page it said, "This is the Book of Shadows. It contains the secrets of the dark arts and should only be used by those who are brave enough to face its power." I was scared, but I wanted to know more. As I flipped through the pages, I saw drawings of pentagrams, spells, and curses. There were also pictures of herbs and plants that were used for their magical properties. I didn't understand most of what I was reading, but I could feel the power that this book contained. I closed it quickly and put it away, hoping that whatever magic it held would stay trapped inside its pages. I still couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Every time I turned around, I felt like someone was staring at me from the shadows. I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination, but I couldn't help but wonder if there was something else in our new house. Then, one night, we were awoken in the middle of the night by a loud crash. We sat up in bed, listening intently for any sound, but there was nothing. We assumed that it was just a branch or something outside, and we eventually went back to sleep. But it wasn't just a one-time thing. It kept happening night after night, and every time we investigated, we couldn't find anything. It was driving us crazy, and we were starting to feel like we were going insane. One day, we decided to do something about it. We called a priest to come and bless our house, hoping that he could help us find whatever was causing all of the chaos. He walked through each room, making the sign of the cross and sprinkling holy water. When he reached the bedroom where the doll had been found, he paused and looked around the room. He told us that he felt a dark presence here and that it was here for one reason. We were getting ready to leave when he stopped us and told us that he needed to show us something. He led us into the closet and pointed to a small hole in the back. He had felt a cold spot in this room, and when he investigated, he found the hole. It was covered in cobwebs and looked like it hadn't been used in years, but he could sense that it was still there. He told us that this was the source of the evil in our house and that we needed to get rid of it. He didn't want to go any further because he didn't know what kind of entity might be hiding in there, so he left it up to us. We were scared, but we were also curious. What could possibly be hiding in that small hole? With the priest watching over us, we pulled away the cobwebs and opened the hole. It led to a dark, narrow passageway that smelled like mildew and decay. We couldn't see anything in the darkness, but we could feel the temperature change around us. It was colder now, and a damp, heavy fog was starting to fill the room. We knew that we should turn back, but we were too curious to do anything else. We called out into the darkness, but there was no answer. Only silence echoed back at us. Then we heard a noise coming from the other side of the tunnel. It sounded like footsteps. We froze in fear, unsure of what to do. Should we run? What if whatever was making the noise came after us? We stood there for a moment, listening intently for any sound. But there was nothing. Had we imagined it? We decided to investigate. We took a deep breath and slowly moved forward into the darkness, our eyes adjusting to the dim light. As we went deeper into the tunnel, we could feel the presence of something watching us. It was getting stronger now, pressing against our minds, trying to make itself known. Suddenly, we saw something in front of us. It was a doll. It was sitting on the ground with its back against the wall and its head slightly turned to the side. As we approached, we could see that it was old and dirty, its clothes torn and stained. Its face was white and staring ahead with blank eyes. We were both shocked. How did the doll get down there? We had only found it upstairs. Then we noticed something strange. The doll's head was facing towards the hole we had come through. It seemed like it was watching us the entire time. We don't know how long we stood there staring at the doll, but eventually we decided to move it. We weren't sure if it was a good idea, but we couldn't stand the feeling of being watched any longer. We picked the doll up and turned it around so that it was facing away from us. As soon as we did, the room started to shake. The walls rumbled and the doll fell out of our hands. It landed on the floor with a loud thud. We were both scared and confused. Why was the doll falling and what was happening? Then we heard a voice. It was coming from the doll. At first, we couldn't make out the words, but as we listened, we began to understand what it was saying. "Get out," it whispered. "Leave this place now." The voice was raspy and scratchy like nails on a chalkboard. We were frozen in fear, unable to move or speak. The doll started to shake and a low growl came from its throat. It was getting angrier now. its eyes glowing red in the darkness. We finally snapped out of our stupor and ran as fast as we could. We didn't stop running until we reached the safety of our car. We were shaking and crying, our hearts pounding in our chests. We never looked back. We didn't want to see what was waiting for us in that house. We don't know what that doll was, but we're glad we never found out. Well, that's all the time we have for today's video. But before we go, please smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you won't miss any of our scary stories. Here on Dark Whispers, we bring you the most terrifying true stories and paranormal encounters from around the world. So don't forget to join our family if you love being scared. Now, since you've made it to the end of the video, we know you're one of our biggest fans. That's why we've saved the scariest part for last. Are you ready? Here goes. If you're watching this video right now, then one of those dolls could be in your house, watching you. It may look like an ordinary toy, but it's far from it. It has a dark past, and it wants you to suffer the same fate as its previous owner. Do you feel anything? If you do, then you'd best get rid of that doll fast before it's too late. Just remember, if you can hear me out, then I'm already inside your mind. Good luck surviving the night.